this criteria in mind, what I said, you can write additionally 1 or 2 sentences and some of your words and all. There's no problem. But ensure that points we have on the left side, what is telling source of spoke to, these things are included in your answer. That's very important. If you don't include, you will fail with the exam. So if you don't have any questions so far, we go to part 2, which is very simple. Part 2, right? Part 2 is nothing but just to do the risk assessment column completes. Risk assessment column. So you say hazard category first and then hazard. See, hazard categories, hazardous substances, hazardous dust. Now you have to write 5 hazard categories minimum and you have to write 10 hazards minimum. Right? So hazard categories, I have shared you one more document. Now we will refer that document now. Hazard categories. Hazard category. I think you all have received the textbook of RRC. Have you all received the textbook of RRC? Have you all received the textbook of RRC?
Yes, sir.
Yes. You have how many books you received?
It's 2 books. One for IG1 and one for IG2.
IG2. In that IG2 book, you can see this page. It's there. In the IG2 book, it's there, this page. See, it clearly says hazard category and hazard. You need to identify at least 10 significant hazards. This must come from at least 5 of the above hazard categories that are dealt with in the IG2 course. Hazard categories are, see, everybody can see the screen. Screen එක බලන්න පුළුවන්ද ඔක්කොටම? Visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So see the screen. This page is there in your IG2 book. You can open and see somewhere there this page. May පිටුව තියෙනවා. IG2 පොතේ. Right? බලන්න පුළුවන්. මේ page වල see hazard category and hazard. You need to identify 10 significant hazards that we have said earlier. These must come from at least 5 hazard categories. These 10 hazards should come from 5 hazard categories of the hazards that are dealt with in the IG2 course. Hazard, you can take any hazard. You have IG2 course is all about IG2 pota. IG2 is talking only hazards. So that any hazard you can take 10 hazards. But just to come from 5 hazard categories. So what are those hazard categories? Are radiation, manual handling, work-related upper limb disorders, work equipment, any of these hazard. See? Okay. So for dust, what he says here, hazardous substances. Noise is also one hazard category. Fire one hazard category. Vibration, what only park. More than 20. Chemical gun, electricity. Under this hazard category, only you have to write the hazard. For example, hazard category electricity. Kela liela, yata liyandone, found damaged cable with a power tool. Or the cable connected to the power tool was found damaged. Electrocution hazard. So hazard is down. Hazard category is on top. Electricity, underline, ඊට පස්සේ hazard එක මොකක්ද? There is a power tool or grinder found with a damaged cable attached to that. Or you can say any hazard category and say hazard. So this is going to be a topic. That's what he said. Hazardous substances is your hazard category. Okay, hazard එක මොකක්ද? Dust. හරිය කියන්නේ? So everybody understood this? This page, you can take your book and see, right? See, hazardous substance is the hazard category. තමයි උඩට එන්නේ. Hazardous substances, hazard category. Hazard එක ඇවිල්ලා dust. High concentration of processed dust in the air is the hazard that you are going to write about. So far clear, everybody?
Yes.
Right. Good. So hazardous substances, dust is the hazard. So now one more thing you must do here. You have to put the numbers now. The hazard there. So write number 1 කියලා hazardous substance කියලා ලියන්න. එතකොට එකක් ඔයාලා ලියලා දිනවද? තව 9ක් ලියන්න ඕනේ. 1 2 3 කියලා නම්බර් කරන්න. 1 මේක 2. So 1 2 3. See electricity, see malfunction of portable equipment. Electricity is a hazard category. Right? Noise is a hazard category. Like that, you write the hazard categories. But your hazard categories, there should be 5, more than 5. Slips 1, working at height 1, 2, noise 3, safe working movement 4, hazardous substance 5. So 5 you are done. Others extra electricity, whatever you put, no problem. But minimum 5, there should be 5 minimum. Understand? And 10 hazards. You have to write under the hazard categories. You have to write 10 hazards. 5 minimum hazard categories, and you have to write 10 hazards. Okay. Right. So hazardous substances is a hazard category. Hazard is dust. What is the next point? Methanol. Who might be harmed and how? So you have to say who might be harmed? All workers, customers, and others visiting the organization. All workers. When you say all workers, you have to be very careful. Because carpenters නැත්තම් masons ලා concrete කඩනවා. ඔතන ඉන්න masons ලාටයි එයාගේ helpers, එයාගේ supervisor එතන ඉන්න කට්ටියට විතරයි ඕක effect වෙන්නේ. Or dust. But this dust is telling in the air, processed dust. Maybe it's going all over. That's what he's telling all workers. But when you say a dust hazard, you think about that location, particular location. Who is there? That you mention here. Masons, helpers. For example, I am referring to the construction site where a mason is deployed to break the concrete. Or mason helper is deployed to break the concrete using a power tool. So there you have to find exactly who are the people can be affected. So here he says all workers, customers, and so. So who might be harmed is this. Mention the exact people who will be harmed. And how they will be harmed. The second answer. So first answer is this. Second answer we are coming now. See, There are two answers you have to give. One is who, and then second is how. How they will be harmed by dust. So you have to say that by dust, these people, how they will be harmed. Kovad megulu effect when dust hazard. May කියපු කට්ටිය කොහොමද effect. High concentration of dust process are always present from the routine and frequent activities being carried out. Since there is no dust extraction, only dilution ventilation is currently being used. People are breathing in hazardous dust particles. This can cause anything from short-term occupational asthma to long-term chronic occupational cancers, respiratory health conditions. People can also get the dust in their skin, which can cause dermatitis, in their eyes, can cause eye irritation and damage, etc. Even accidentally swallow it, hand-to-mouth transfer from contaminated hands. He's telling a lot of things. You can simply talk. Paragraph paragraph. You don't confuse. No, don't require, not required. Simply write. When masons, I'm referring to that example again. Concrete breaking masons or helper. When masons and the area, people who are around the area, exposed to the dust, they can inhale and get cough. And the dust can expose to or their skin, body skin, can get dermatitis, cough and dermatitis. In a long term, continuous inhalation or exposing to dust can lead to lung diseases like asthma. You can say that, or respiratory diseases. Very brief. So you understand the hazard first, and